Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like.
Yeah, pound all the subscribes. Check out the podcast as well below in the description.
All right, John. During the Super Bowl on Sunday, we got a tweet from Joe Boo. He said, I'd love a full breakdown of the Chiefs blocking Reddick with a tight end. I think he was being taking a shot at us because we said Kyle Shanahan blocking Hassan Reddick with Tyler Kroft, and that got Brock Purdy hurt, and that was a bad decision. Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer, said this is just how you run offense. Mitchell Schwartz, very good offensive lineman, said this is how you run offense. But you and I thought it was taking an unnecessary risk to put Tyler Kroft one-on-one on a 7-step drop play action with no safety net. So even though people are still tweeting at me that the Chiefs blocked Hassan Reddick with a tight end one-on-one multiple times, let's dive into the tape here in a moment, John. I think Kyle Shanahan's mistake looks worse after the Super Bowl. I don't think he's vindicated, as some people are claiming he's vindicated.
Not only is he not vindicated, Hassan Reddick, do you know that by the time kickoff happened, he was almost minus 200 to have a sack? Like people, like the betting market for him to get a sack. I mean, his MVP odds were near the top. Obviously, it had a fantastic season, but I think the momentum off KOing Brock Purdy, just how talented the guy is, you would have said, one, do the Eagles get a sack against the Chiefs? Of course, at minimum, they're getting one sack. And you would have said chances that Hassan Reddick has a sack in the game, or at least like basically gets his hands on Patrick Mahomes, would be really high. He did not. The Eagles did not have a sack.
The Tahoma 31 hurt a little bit too, right?
The what?
The Tahoma 31, the grass.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but the
little slippage.
The Chiefs got pressure.
Yeah. At no point did the Chiefs make the tight end the only line of defense. He was often the first line of defense, but he was never the only line of defense. So let's go through some of this. And what you'll find is 4 things that the Chiefs do. They only block Reddick with a tight end in these situations. Number 1, run plays away from Reddick. Number 2, if the tight end, usually Noah Gray, has help from often the right tackle, Andrew Wiley, or sometimes Jerick McKinnon a couple of times. Juju actually ends up one-on-one with him in some spots if they're running away. 3, on a screen play to Noah Gray, he blocks, lets Reddick go, then they throw the ball right to him. And number 4, there's only one pass play where they block him one-on-one with no help, but they do have a safety net. And the safety net is it's a shotgun quick throw to the opposite side. So there's no drop. Mahomes gets the snap, looks left, throws a screen, or throws a slant to Juju. So at no point was there no safety net when they blocked Reddick with a tight end.
Can we preface this whole conversation around back to the NFC Championship game? You're allowed to do misdirection and stuff in the run game. You can block him with a tight end in the run game, even if that loses. That's part of, play actions, or misdirection runs. In the screen game, you have to, you're letting a guy go. That's part of it. All of our conversation from you and I have not surrounded anything but 5-step, 7-step with a quarterback, way behind the line of scrimmage and a guy getting a running start. When we're talking Micah Parsons, Reddick, Bosa's, Pete Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, you are putting a guy in harm's way when you are deep in the line of scrimmage under center, right?
Yep.
Like you said, the shotgun thing is a much different animal. Kyle's offense, and this Joe Thomas, Mitchell Schwartz argument, no one's arguing that conceptual belief of play action stuff is a huge part of his offense. No one's disputing that. It's just on a specific play throughout the game, which you clearly have game planned against, was beyond risky. And anytime you invest $100,000 in Bitcoin, it might turn into $1 million. But you cannot complain when it's $3,000 a year later, right? So he is not allowed to be like, well, it's part of our offense. No, you took a high calculated risk, and it fucking utterly backfired. Why? That's all we want everyone to acknowledge. Not that it's part of the offense. No shit. We've all been watching it for 6 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, I would say 2 other things to it, John. It might be that Kyle Shanahan's explanation would be there was another line of defense to blocking Reddick. It was the motion of the guy coming behind. I think it was Debo coming behind the play. We thought that would distract Reddick and slow down his pass rush, and we were wrong about that. But we haven't heard an explanation on that particular play, so I don't know. My guess would be that was part of what they thought would work on that play.
And I think this goes back to they're different. I think a lot of the Eagles offense gets compared. There are a lot of similarities to like what Lincoln does, but they are used to a lot of misdirection. You think I'm going left, I'm going right. You think I'm handing off, I'm keeping. Their ends, because there was another play in the Niner game where Brandon Graham did not bite. You would say just in this year, just this season, every day going up against this version of Jalen Hurts and all those players, when they're going ones on ones, isn't it just they're pretty prepared for a lot of look left, we're going right. It's just a natural part of their RPO game,
right?
That they felt less likely to like just firing down the line of scrimmage.
Also, who you're doing it with? You're doing it with a guy who hasn't played a lot of football, Brock Purdy. And I'll show you some pictures here in a second. But the last thing I want to say is Bill Belichick was on Tom Brady's podcast last week. It was really good. And one thing he said was Tom makes his teammates better. Okay, people say that about players. But he said, we played multiple games against great Colts pass rushes like Robert Mathis, great Panthers pass rushes, where our lines, our right tackle, our right guard were not very good, but Tom got the ball out fast, so Tom didn't get hit. This whole thing works together. The play got called. The play failed. Why did the play fail? Hey, I know this Eagles and Niners play next year, so we'll get to see if Kyle Shanahan does any of this stuff over again. But let's talk about what the Chiefs did and didn't do, because I've had a lot of people say to me they did the same thing the Niners did. Here's some examples. Here is Noah Gray, who, by the way, Noah Gray, according to PFF, has 3 times as many pass blocking snaps this year as Tyler Kroft. He had almost 50. Kroft had 15. So here is Noah Gray blocking Reddick, but you can see, John, there's Andrew Wiley ready to help. Next play. This is a run away from Reddick. It's one-on-one with Juju, but Pacheco is running the other direction.
Look at the beauty of that wall for Pacheco to hit.
Oh, did Pacheco had choice? He had multiple runs where he could have hit 2 different holes, I thought, in the Super Bowl. Here's another photo. This is one-on-one with Reddick, but it's a run away from Reddick. Noah Gray blocking him. Mahomes in this photo has just handed the ball off, and the run is going away from Reddick. Here's a one-on-one situation, but it's a screen. Noah Gray blocks him, lets him go. Quick throw to Noah Gray from Mahomes.
But isn't that a great example of using he clearly wants to get up the field and rush the passer? Like, that's a schemed play against their best player that worst case scenario, he's got to skip it in the ground, but the quarterback never gets sacked on a quick screen, right?
No, and there was another play where they actually let Reddick go free. You might remember it. I didn't take a photo of it. Mahomes is kind of rolling to the right. They let Reddick come free into Mahomes' face, and the whole play fails, and Mahomes kind of jukes and like throws it into the ground at the feet, kind of behind his intended receiver. But that was not a beat block. It was a questionable decision, but it was not a beat block. Other side, top of the screen, you can see in the circle, that's Gray, that's Reddick, and there's Wiley, who played, I thought, a really good game. Rewatching the tape, John, as I watched line play. Another one, help, Noah Gray. He's getting it. Wiley's right there helping him. Another one. This is the one play where he was one-on-one. Reddick beats him to the inside. It's a throw to the other side of the field where you see Mahomes here. He had just taken it, did a fake little handoff, and then not even one step and a quick throw.
Easy first down. I remember this by Juju, or maybe it was like 2nd and 1, but it was a quick hitting boom.
Yeah, this was a 2nd and 7, so he might have set up. Either he picked it up, you can see his space here to run. Either he picks that up or makes it a 3rd down and short. Even if Reddick comes free here, he's not getting to Mahomes. Even if he's unblocked on this play, Mahomes gets rid of the ball so quickly, he's not getting to him. So, as I said, multiple people have since tweeted at me since I tweeted they didn't do it once all game and said, yes, they did. And I'm not combative. If you've got a play that you think they blocked him one-on-one on a pass play without help, that's what we're talking about, because that's what the Niners did. One-on-one on a deep drop pass play without help, with no safety net, first line of defense, and that was it. There was no second line of defense. The Chiefs always had a second line of defense on plays where they might need a second line of defense.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs' offensive line played really good.
So maybe the Chiefs learned. Did the Chiefs, would they have allowed Gray to block Reddick one-on-one without help had the Niners game not just occurred in the way that it occurred? I don't know. But they didn't, Was that a lesson take? Did they watch the Niners game and go, we are not doing like did Matt Nagy and Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy go? I don't know why Nagy got first mention in that, but because he's your boy. But did those guys watch that tape and go, here's one thing we're not doing, boys. We're not blocking Reddick one-on-one with Noah Gray and then having no help for Noah Gray. Because I'll tell you one thing, Noah Gray needed the help. Of course he did.
Well, I would guess he clearly was much healthier than he was 2 weeks ago, but a huge point of emphasis when they were just developing the game plan a couple weeks ago on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before they really kind of threw it at the players, was protecting Patrick, making things quick, having a Patriot-like game plan in the quick passing game, and then obviously a huge element of Andy's game, which is a lot different than Kyle's game. Like they run a lot of running back and tight end screens. I would say Kyle runs a lot more of that wide receiver kind of jailbreak screen.
Yeah.
Which, you could argue against that team running some screens to McCaffrey or even putting Debo in the backfield and running a screen to him is actually more advantageous with a bunch of defensive linemen that want to get up the field. What happened when the Chiefs kicked the Niners' ass? Everything was kind of quick on the edges or kind of a quick, we hesitate and then we dump off and you're already in the backfield. So I just think Andy went through a lot of heartbreak in his career for, almost 20 years of just seeing a lot of things and what coulda, shoulda, woulda. And like Kyle, 15, 20 years ago was known as the offensive genius that couldn't get it done. And, I just think that you have a more open mind to the game plan consistently, in a situation where it's kind of good on good. Like They're good, we're good. It's not like we're at a disadvantage, that anyone's at a disadvantage. We're just both really good teams, 1 point spread. Like, I got to really think about everything we're doing and be careful, because you could argue the difference in the game was just a mistake by Jalen, right? The fumble, that touchdown was a huge, it would have been 24-7.5 without that. Like, mistakes, they fucking kill you. And ultimately, Purdy, even if he hadn't been injured, that was, a fumble, right? It was just a huge, you got to be very careful with going for daggers. When you think about the Patriot dynasty, they would bust out crazy shit, but it was usually in the second half. They kind of were like a feel you out, kind of boxer. And then they would take their double pass or whatever. But and I don't blame Kyle. Like, I'm all for being aggressive, but they went for like an early kill shot on the road in a play that was slow developing. Would they have been better off just doing a true 5-step, not the play action, which even derails it? Just have them go one-on-one, throw a bomb. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like, I'd like that one back, right? There's some that Andy would like back. There's some Sirianni would like back. It's part of football.
I'm glad you said that. The point of us talking about this from Kyle's perspective is not us saying, Kyle's an idiot. His offense he shouldn't do what he always does. It's just to say, is there a discussion to be had that maybe sometimes just because it's a natural part of what you do, it shouldn't be a part of it today, just today. One other play I want to show you, since look at the bottom of the screen here, John, lower right-hand corner. That is Andrew Wiley, 77. In a passing, I think it's Darius Slay in coverage. He already blocked 7, let him go, and then broke out and he's turning to look for the ball. Mahomes eventually threw this ball just OB, and then the next play was the wide open touchdown to Sky Moore to the left. Out here up top, where it kind of looks like Sky Moore's up there. But this was a throwaway, not a score. But look at 77.
But see, this is a good example, right? They kind of got, this is a ballsy play.
Yeah.
Have it. But I like this ballsy play 28-27 with the fucking Super Bowl on the line, 9 minutes left. Then if they run this in the first quarter and he lands on Mahomes' ankle and it ends the game, Andy's taking a lot of shit. At this point in time, it's kind of all on the line. I think just looking back, the timing of the Niners play, it was just, it's okay to look back and go, we would like to do this different. Welcome to life, right? I mean, it's just part of, you have hindsight. It's a result-oriented business.
If I could get 10 pass rushers in a room and do a study, I'd be curious to ask them do they rush differently on the first series of a game than they rush? Like on a first series, are you more likely to ignore motion and just go straight for the quarterback than you are in the third quarter when you've seen 35 or 45 different plays and now they've planted seeds in your head that this deep motion is something you should pay attention to, or this screenplay, as opposed to the fourth play of the game when you are fresh and you've been just dying to get to this quarterback for 7 days and you're just going to cut it loose and get after him?
And there are probably rules on a given, depending on who your team is, your coach is. You have scheme rules that first quarter as you have a game plan, right? When they run this, you do this. When we call this play against this look, you can do this. When they run play action with this, that's the guy over the top of you. Just fucking let it rip.
Yeah.
And maybe as the game goes on, they say, actually, be careful on that, right? Or vice versa. Or maybe they say, don't rush, and then they realize you're allowed to rush. Like, I think that first series, everything you're getting from the players is game plan specific. And then it kind of is a fluid situation. So I think he goes because they go, when you see that, I think he had a pretty good idea. Play action pass. Clearly.
Ignore the other motion. Somebody else is taking care of that.
Well, Devo, in one of his 7 million interviews, admitted it. We do a lot of stuff. It's all the same play. Just we have it in every different looking formation and every different motion. We run the same plays out of all the window dressing.
Who's Debo going to have a pregame shoving match with before the Eagles game? Can't wait to find out.
Look at the Eagles free agents. They got a lot of moving parts on that team.
Niners going to sign James Bradbury? No.
Probably not. But hell, you never know.